Have a great stream from all of us at Melon. Thank you. Happy Thursday from freezing cold northeast England. I think it's about 1 degrees as we speak. We've got the fingerless gloves on, like something from Home Alone. Blandy's got his coffee. You got your coffee, Blandy? You're not bothering.
No, we're just on agua today.
Just on the water. What have you got, Baz?
Just to warm me up with ice cold cider. Warm the cockles. Sort them in from the boys.
Here we are from a freezing cold northeast England. He's got bulmers of ice.
What you want?
Guinness.
Yes, you do.
It's a nice winter's drink, isn't it?
Keep you full up.
Yeah. Do we have any stashes of the week this week or not? And if we're going straight on the games.
Straight in the games. I think
there's a couple of players that might come up. Players might come up when we talk about some games. I think, isn't there? There's a few. Obviously, we're past the trade deadline, but there's a few people keep popping up now. There's a few injuries, and you know, these going deep into some rosters and some rookies getting some games. So there's a few people that might come up as we go through it, I think.
Okay. First game we're going to hit on is tonight's game. Raiders at the Rams. As you can see, Mr. Bland's got his Rams hoodie on, so he's obviously full of confidence.
Representing.
Go Rams.
Hey, what's up with me spread? It's logged me out. Oh, the bastard.
You're going to have to log back in, aren't you?
Yeah, what was it again?
No idea. You're not save it.
Shit, no.
Useless.
Let me try another one, 2 seconds.
So yeah, Rams. I'll try and fill in a little bit. Raiders.
Yeah, go on. Just do like a little jig or something. Do a little. Can you sing?
No, I can't. No.
Can you sing?
Raiders at the Rams. Where does this rank in our excitement for a Thursday night game after we've had that really duff start, a couple of half decent ones, and where's this one pitching in?
Pretty low down, I think.
Lord, there's not many wins across the two teams, is there?
There we go. We're started.
No, there isn't. No.
First question of the night. Come on, let's keep these questions coming. Shaka, is Abdullah or Zamir White the insurance policy for Josh Jacobs?
Very good question.
I like his picture as well. Look, he's like a caveman.
Yeah, he could be there for top hair in the NFL, wouldn't he?
What's your thoughts, Barry?
I'm going to have to defer this one to you, Blandy, because I'm not sure either way. I think Zamir White is only getting very limited action, isn't he? Whereas at least Abdullah gets a little bit more a more rounded. He gets in different situations, doesn't he? Where I'm not sure that Zamir White's got a lot of trust yet. But
no, I think as the insurance policy to Jacobs, it's Zamir White. If Jacobs was to go down, then White would get a lot of the first and second down work that Jacobs sees now. But Abdullah would play more on third downs than what he does now. He kind of come in and just gives Jacobs a breather every now and again on third downs. And he would maintain that role and probably play more third down snaps. White would just be the 1-2 down back.
Has he had many touches so far in his career, though, Zamir White?
Not in the NFL, no.
No. That would be somewhat of a concern. I'm not doubting what you're saying, but that would be somewhat of a concern. I think we talked about it last week, didn't we? About certain players and certain teams, the backup can slot straight in. So Dalvin Cook goes down, Mattison comes in, and it's a bit like for like. Other teams, if the main guy goes down, it then comes into some version of a timeshare, and the secondary back isn't good enough to replace him, or don't trust him, or whatever else, and it becomes a much diluted version of. So I think that would be the case here. I don't think Jacobs has seen some huge numbers, hasn't he, in the last month. I don't think anybody's going to get those numbers, and probably no one's good enough to handle them like he has.
No, probably not. No. But as the early down banger, it would be Zamir White over Abdullah. Just Abdullah would take more third down roles.
Yeah.
So you'd handcuff Josh Jacobs with White. What you saying?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'd be looking for better handcuffs, but it depends what's out there, doesn't it? But yeah,
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I think we're saying there isn't a Jacobs goes down, another player comes in, and it's a like for like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
Cheers, Chaka. Give us a like and a subscribe. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, hang on. Shaka, just wanted to pick one of them up before tonight's game, just in case Jacobs aggravates his injury. So
yeah, that's a good move. Yeah, if I was doing that, it would be Zalia White.
Yeah, bit of a shot to nothing sort of play.
Yeah.
I mean, again, going back to the game itself, are we expecting the Rams to trouble the Raiders much, or who do we think? Raiders are 6.5 point favourites away from home here.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's really an away game though. It's going to be absolutely jam packed full of Raider fans. So.
It's the derby that's not a derby, isn't it? It's the game of LA against a team from Vegas.
Yeah. But the Rams don't have that great of a support. It's not too far for the Raiders fans to travel. It's easy.
Well, it depends. It depends if the Raiders fans ever moved, doesn't it? Raiders were based in Oakland just
across the bay. Yeah, just the other side of the bay.
So if you were an Oakland native and you supported the Raiders, this would feel like a return to home, wouldn't it? So yes, no wonder. And I think looking at the numbers, they're on a decent run, the Raiders, aren't they? They're 3 wins on the spin. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is.
So I don't know if that's a case of McDonald's is just starting to get his point across, or something's clicked. But they looked a bit dodgy early on, didn't they? And it seems to have come right a little bit in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. They're playing a bit better. I think the defense might be playing a bit better. The defense certainly got healthier last week with the return of the best cornerback, Nate Hobbs. So he came back last week. He had a fumble recovery, even with a cast. He's still playing with a cast on his arm because he broke his hand.
Is that allowed in the NFL? Is it? They do have some strange bits of equipment, don't they? Sometimes where those like big arm guard things, and some of them have those neck like a child seat neck brace thing. Van Der Esch wears on for the Cowboys, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. But no, they're on a good run, and obviously the Rams are just awful.
I mean, when you look at the Rams, they've been in a mess for a while this season, and now you look at them, they've got injuries all over the place. I think it was a few weeks ago you were saying about some of the lineman injuries where people maybe didn't know, always know the lineman, but now you look, you've got no Stafford, you've got no Cup. The running backs are all they're just rolling out of the can.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're now week 14, and it looks like maybe tonight will be the first game that we're going to roll out the same consecutive O-line from one game to the next.
Right.
And we're in week 14. We've got guys starting that weren't on the roster 2 months ago. Never mind the start of the season.
I mean, you've come off the Super Bowl. The way they are, they're not going to make the playoffs. I know he was getting grilled a bit at the press conference, wasn't he, to say, are you trying or not? And he was trying to give it we'll give it our best every shot. It didn't look like they were trying last week when with the Lockett touchdown, when the tackling was particularly weak.
Yeah, I mean, the defense has given up a lot of explosive plays this year, which the defense is designed not to give up explosive plays, to have everything played in front of them, make teams go down, dink and dunk against them.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't happened. We've given up loads of explosive plays. But they actually they played well on offense last week against against the Seahawks with all the mishmash and shite that we're putting out there. But from a fantasy point of view, do I want to start anybody on the Rams? Absolutely not. No.
I was going to say, are there any Rams that you can start?
No.
Cam Akers, 2 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, but it was a close game. They managed to keep the game close. So
they definitely hung around, didn't they? They hung around with the Seahawks for long parts of the game.
The Rams were leading with just over a minute to go, they were leading that game with just over a minute to go. So if they can keep close, then Akers will have a role. But as soon as they go, 7-10 points down and they've got to start chasing the game, Akers won't be on the field. So
I was going to say he had the 2 touchdowns, but his yards per carry was the worst out of all the backs. So that's again from a fantasy perspective, there's no guarantee in it of anything, and it's a game script dependent of if the Raiders do go up early and they soon get away from the run game, don't they? So
yeah.
What about?
It's very risky. I wouldn't.
Anybody else that you can see a little deeper down? What about Tutu Atwell? What's your thoughts on him?
No.
What were you laughing at?
He's just a situational role player. Even now, when we've got shitloads of injuries, second round pick, and he still can't get on the team. I won't play him.
My computer's refusing to bring his stats up.
Can't even register Tutu Atwell.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
9.3 points. He's getting. He's
not even playing half the snaps. So.
And where are they at with quarterback then? Are they sticking with a guy who I'm trying to think of his name now.
Go Walford.
Walford. Yeah. Have they got some other options at quarterback? Obviously, we've only got Stafford, but.
He doesn't look like
that's a contender for facial hair of the week.
It doesn't look like. If someone asks you to picture a quarterback, that's the last one you picture, like, isn't it? He doesn't look like a quarterback.
Like he's got a bad neck injury, so he's got to test it out pre-game, see how he feels about playing. If he doesn't play, then it's going to be Baker Mayfield playing, basically.
Oh yes,
of course, yeah.
They've got the Baker. Yeah. I mean, has Wolford been not absolutely dreadful? Has he been a little bit better than dreadful?
He's probably been Baker Mayfield level.
Yeah. Has he? Oh well, I'd say Baker Mayfield was dreadful, but
yeah. I mean, Mayfield has been this year anyway on a EPA play basis. He's been the worst he's been the worst quarterback in the league.
Is he just a short term thing? Or has he got some backup? Could he be the backup next year? Or I mean, again, I'm never quite sure what the Rams are doing because they trade away a lot of their picks, but they'll be in line for a good draft pick next year, will they? If they've still got all of it.
No, it's the
it's going to the Lions.
Lions.
Going to the Lions.
Have it. Yeah. So no, and I'm not 100% sure you've got a second round pick either.
Oh well, so not in a good spot. And will McVay stay again? There's talk of him, isn't there? Walking away now.
It depends what the other players do. So if Stafford retires and Donald retires, then there's a very good chance that McVay will retire as well.
Then you're in an absolute world of pain, then, aren't you?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's coming eventually, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, you want to be competitive, don't you?
So whether it's next year or the year after.
Well, Donald hasn't got too long left, has he? For as good as he is, he can't keep.
Donald was talking about retiring after the Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's. I mean, he's not going to play for 4 years, is he?
No. So whenever these guys go, McVay goes, then you're looking at it's going to be 5 or 6 years of being really, really bad. Eh?
Right, so onto a team with some sort of fantasy relevance.
Yeah.
So we've already touched on who's the handcuff, so to speak, for Josh Jacobs if Josh Jacobs went down, and we said it was Zamir White for anyone who wasn't there at the time.
Yeah.
However, in terms of, obviously you're playing Josh Jacobs, can you play Amir Abdullah tonight in a squeeze?
You probably shouldn't know because
there'll be better options. Yeah, there'll be better options.
Yeah, they're if it goes as most people expect the game to go, Abdullah's not really going to get on the field because they're not going to be forced to pass the ball more.
Yeah. So in terms of the backfield, the backfield for the Raiders, then we just play.
Because it's so concentrated.
Yeah.
From a fantasy perspective, it's brilliant. Eh?
Yeah. I mean, Josh Jacobs just gets everything in the running game, And receiving, it's Adams. Look one Adams. Look away. Look back to Adams as he got open, and then possibly look for your third or fourth option. And Matt Collins seems to be filling that second role relatively well.
Yeah, well, he played what's he played? 96, 100, 96, 98% of the snaps. He's never coming off the field.
So is he playing in Hunter's role? Is he?
No, he's playing outside. Yeah.
So he's playing in Hunter's role.
I think Keelan Cole plays there, but
we didn't get a target last week.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't get a target. It's just irrelevant. Yeah, see, he's playing the Hunter Renfro role.
Right.
But yeah, he's just running out there running wind sprints, getting some good cardio work in.
So we can play. Obviously, we're going to play Devontae.
He's looked very good last few weeks, hasn't he, Devontae?
Right, look, you can play Matt Collins probably as a wide receiver 3 this week, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout, Matt Collins.
Yeah, because the last 5 weeks, the Rams have given up the second most points and the third most yards to wide receivers. And he's getting, even with Devontae Adams on the field, he's still seeing a significant amount of targets to make him worth playing in a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you can't throw to Adams every single time, so he's got. And it's a very small pool of players. So it's Adams, Matt Collins, and Foster Moreau at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, you're still playing Adams regardless. He's still going to see about 16 targets, but he's going to have some attention from Jalen Ramsey.
He's going to shred them tonight, though, isn't he?
Ramsey hasn't played particularly well this year, and although Ramsey's going to be on Adams, you're still not getting off playing Adams a lot. So.
No, absolutely not.
But you can play Foster Moreau as well if you need a tight. Obviously, tight end's an absolute shit show. And then the last 5 weeks, the Rams have given up the most points and the most yards and the second most touchdowns to two tight ends. Noah Fant last week had his, one of his best games of the season against the Rams. Scored a touchdown. I think between him and Will Disley in that tight end role that they split there, I think they put up best part of 80 yards and about 7 or 8 catches and a touchdown between the two of them.
They've always been bad against the tight end, haven't they, Rams, for a year or two now?
Yeah, no, for
even longer than that.
For as long as I can remember, yeah, pretty much. As long as McVay's been there, yeah. And so like last week, where the Seahawks they split their tight end role between the 2 or 3 tight ends.
Yes, they're in a rotation.
The Raiders don't. The Raiders,
no.
Like Foster Moreau he only played 90% snaps last week. That's because he had to go get checked out for a concussion. So
yeah, I know that he was getting really good reports, wasn't he, out of camp, Foster Moreau? Because obviously Waller's the main guy, and again, I hold Waller in one of the leagues, and I've held on for a while, and I think there's a lot of talk about him back next week, isn't there?
Possibly.
So again, if he's one of those where somebody's cut him, he might be worth having a little bit of if you've got the space to pick up. Again, tight ends are hard to come by. If he does get anywhere near his top form, he'll be in a top 5 tight ends, won't he, Blandy?
Yeah. Possibly, yeah. Possibly. I mean, to be honest, he wasn't great to start the year.
No, he did have a bad start to the season. He was better when Gruden was there, and Gruden just said, throw it to Waller every time.
Yeah, well, that's because they didn't have Devontae Adams to throw it to him.
No, they didn't have at that point.
So, but was that just getting acclimatised to the system? Obviously, we spoke about earlier where they were a bit slow to get started, and now we've kind of hit the stride. So, who knows? But yeah, I mean, put it this way: he certainly doesn't want to be on the waiver wire in any leagues, does he? You pick him up and you stash him, and maybe see how we go.
Kev Hamilton, is Jacobs playing? Yes, he's expected to play. Yes. Kevin, yeah. I'm going to sit Zamir White, and we're sitting Abdullah. But if you've got Josh Jacobs and you want to handcuff him, just in case he does aggravate that injury, we suggest picking up Zamir White before the game. Hope that answers your question. Right, so next game.
Moving on.
Move along.
Moving along. Browns versus Bengals. Bengals minus 5.5.
5.5, yeah.
There you go. There we go. Magic.
Back up and running.
Browns. Bengals.
So yeah, this looks like a game again where there's a clear favourite, doesn't it? You know, watch the Chiefs go into the jungle last week, and you know, it was a tight game, but the Bengals, you know, for as good as the Chiefs are, the Bengals got the better of them, didn't they? And there seems to be a little bit of rivalry where they've met a couple of times recently, and the Bengals seem to have the number.
Yeah,
so it was a close game going out field goal at the end, but good game to watch. This feels like very much like a home win.
Kev Hamilton, who do you start with, Burks, Myers, or Deontay?
Who's taking it up? Who's starting off with that one? I know what Blandy's going to say.
Is the one fit enough to start?
I was going to say Burks is not a guaranteed start, is he? I think he's still sort of, you've got to go game time decision on him.
Burks won't play this week.
No, so you can probably scratch him off.
Yeah.
So Burks is gone. Myers or Deontay Johnson?
Myers didn't practice today.
Right. I think even if he did practice, I'd be looking at Deontay. He's a better player. Gets open more often.
Deontay didn't practice.
Okay.
Nico Collins.
I think he's trolling you. Nico Collins is already ruled out for week 14. He's not.
Is there any more questionable players? Is there any more questionable players you'd like to discuss?
He must have some team. Kevin Hamilton, with all these injuries got rocked up. He wants to get more active on the waiver wire.
Must have a bit of bad luck to you.
It's very unfortunate.
Bad luck, eh?
Yeah, cheers for that trolling. Me on New York Jets. You're right. I'm impressed with your knowledge, how it's come along this season. Might get an invite to the Fantasy League next year.
Is he been under your tutelage as he Anth?
Oh yeah. Yeah, same as Kev Hammer.
I think he's still a budding apprentice, isn't he?
Yeah.
Long way to go.
So do you fancy the Browns getting any close to this spread?
No. I think they should. I think they should be over a touchdown. Although it's just come up that T Higgins was limited because of a hamstring today.
I mean, he's not short. They're not short on receivers either at the Bengals. So you know, if he's not quite fit, but he's fit enough to get on the field, he can run as a decoy for a good chunk of the game.
Hammer's saying that he wasn't trolling. That's actually his choices.
He's right. He's right as well. I'm looking at it.
The answer is pick whichever one of them is the fittest. Get him out there for a fitness test, and go with whoever performs the best.
I think he's trolling, and then the fourth play he put up was also injured. Good luck, Hammer. Yeah,
he's not
all the best.
He's not good.
You need more than the fantasy podcast, you son.
He's all right. There's one available for him to pick up on the waiver wire. Well, it's not on the waiver wire. It's free agency now. So if he listens long enough, then he'll find out which one to pick up.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe Anthony's thinking he might have some healing hands in those fingerless mitts, and you can cast a spell to get some fitness back into his fantasy team.
So in terms of this game, keep your questions coming, everyone. In terms of this game, what players we're interested in? Let's start with the Browns.
Right. Okay. So we'll go with the Browns. Amari Cooper. As we've noticed, this game is at the Bengals. Yeah. So
he won't score a touchdown.
We've spoken about Amari Cooper and his home road splits this year.
He's a homer, isn't he? He's an absolute homer.
Well, we're now at 22 points a game at home and 7.8 points a game on the road. So that's a little worrying with those splits. And also, the Bengals do have a pretty decent defense as well.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think Deshaun Watson could possibly have looked any more awful than what he did last week. For whatever reason, he decided that in his 2 years away, that wide receivers or receivers in general now have hands where the feet used to be and vice versa. Because all he did for the whole game was throw the ball at people's feet.
I was going to say, I did see some low throws. I mean,
low throws, he was trying to bounce them into it.
You can expect it to be a bit rusty as much as you can. I mean, I know he's banned from facilities and all these sort of things. He could have worked out some sort of practice regime, but I don't think you can always replicate what goes on in an NFL field. So, I think we've got to cut him a little bit of slack. Obviously, taking all of the drama out of it in terms of him getting up to speed. He still is. Oh, sorry, he was a very, very good quarterback.
Yes, he was a very,
he's
very
had
good quarterback.
700 days off. Let's let him feel his way back in the rest of the season. I think would be the way to approach it. Don't be hanging your hat on him. Don't be thinking you're going to get Deshaun Watson of that Houston team where they went to the Chiefs and they had 3 touchdowns up just before the half and all that sort of carry on.
I mean, there's a very good chance he can get back there, but I don't think it's going to happen this year.
No, you wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. This fantasy season, I think he's not one. Although in one of my leagues, I did gamble and pick him up early because I'm a big fan. And it was a shot to nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Cooper, I will be wary of.
I think again, I did watch the game, but from the commentary, I heard that Watson was looking for Cooper very often. So again, whether that's that sort of QB and an alpha wide receiver one, and he just knows if I'm not accurate, but I can get it near him. Cooper's my man to catch it. So again, that does bode well for Cooper, even in this tough matchup. But just for the rest of the season, I think Cooper's going to benefit from having Sean back.
Yeah. I mean, he had a 42% target share.
Tidy.
Yeah. That was without Njoku though.
Yeah.
Njoku didn't play.
Is he back this week?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. He practiced yesterday, so as long as he comes out of that, then that'll be good because the Bengals give up the 5th most yards to tight ends. So you can. Last week, I think they kind of sold out on defense to stop Travis Kelce, and they said to the Chiefs, right, beat us with your running backs or beat us with your mishmash of wide receivers that you've got, but we're going to take away Kelce. Kelce had a quiet game, and obviously the Bengals basically won the game by stripping that strip fumble on Kelce in the 4th quarter. Mm-hmm. Don't think the Chiefs got the ball back after that. Yeah,
Blandy, can you just do me a favour? Just while we've got one viewer, I think it's Hannah anyway. So see where your microphone is. There's like a little triangle on the screen.
Yes.
Can you click that? It says echo cancellation. There's like 3 segments down the bottom. Is it on?
Echo cancellation's on, yeah.
Is it on? Is it? I'm just getting a bit of feedback from you. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
No, I'll try and shut up. Well.
No, go on.
Go on, guys.
I was just going to say my next point on the Browns was going to be Kareem Hunt. He seemed to get a little bit better slice of the pie last week. Is that Deshaun related? Is that a change in anything else? He had, looking here, 9 carries and a couple of receptions. Obviously not no touchdown, nothing spectacular, but it just felt like he'd been really underused, and then has he come back in the fold?
Yeah, I don't know whether that was just because it was a bit of a blowout.
Game script.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, his playing time didn't increase all that much. They just seemed to use him a bit more. Yeah, I don't know. It's the truthful answer to that.
And I mean, pretty much all Browns' offense came from the defense. All the points came from the defense, didn't it, last week? So
yeah, they kicked 2 field goals, where the offense only got them into scoring range once, where they kicked one of the field goals.
Hang on, is that on my house? 2 seconds.
I was going to say, the burglar.
That's a dog pound, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the Browns.
Yeah. The offense only put together one scoring drive where they kicked the field goal, and the second field goal came from an interception from the defense, and then they just didn't move the ball anymore.
Like, they certainly haven't used Harrison Bryant, have they, in Joku's absence?
No, it just doesn't play. It just doesn't. His role doesn't grow when Joku's out.
Which is disappointing, because we highlighted him as someone who possibly had the skill set to come in and step up in that role, but they don't want to go there. They want to pound the run, and again, a couple of throws. I mean, Brissett wasn't too bad. He's a decent game manager, and he found Peoples-Jones and Cooper. I think we're going to have to go through that bit of pain with Watson for a little bit before they get back there.
Yeah, Brissett was actually really good for the Browns.
I've always thought he's steady.
I think from what a lot of people's pre-season expectations were, and what he was going to do for the skill position players. But on the other side, there you can play. I mean, you're playing Nick Chubb anyway, but you can definitely play Joe Mixon. I think this is his first game back. He's played the concussion protocol. He's going to play.
Right.
And the Browns give up the second most points per game to running backs in the league. They're just an absolute sieve. They've got so many. It's got so many injuries at the linebacker core. They lost another one last week as well. Taki, he went down last week. So yeah, they're down just to guys off the street in the linebacker core now. So
do they still get a decent amount of pressure, the Browns, with
they've got Myles Garrett there. So
Myles Garrett,
yeah. And when they played the game in Cleveland earlier in the year, they harassed Joe Burrow all night.
That was where I was going. I think the Bengals are on a good run. I think they only lost 1 in 6, and the team to beat them was the Browns, obviously in Cleveland. So it was a little bit of a different game. But if you're looking as an outsider and thinking, well, last time they played the Browns won, does that give the Browns some sort of edge? I wouldn't think so, but it is. When you look through the stats, that is the only loss in 6. So
yeah, it's strange as well, because the Browns, the Browns ranked 25th in the league in pressure rate. So
right, okay,
it shouldn't really be bothering
them too much.
Excuse me.
I mean, again, when you go through the Bengals offense and the players that you want to be playing, I mean, Joe Burrow, he's just a class act, isn't he? Cool as the other side of the pillow. He's just ice cold, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very good.
You okay, Blandy?
No.
Take a moment if you're going to collapse live on a stream, Blandy.
I think I need to get some.
Oh, he's off. If he's going to die, can you do it on camera so Steve Wake can watch it?
We'd get loads more viewers than if we knew Blandy was going to die live on 9 o'clock show.
Podcasted live dies live on air.
Have you got little tombstone RIP emojis or pictures just to slot in his screen?
We best not joke, eh?
He might not come back. Keep listening if you want to know if Blandy comes back. Just keep listening.
Hammer, we'll get to that question when he stopped choking to death.
Yeah, we need the expert on that one.
If.
It's a movement.
Oh,
it could be like Undertaker rising from the dead.
Yeah.
Let's try again, shall we?
Oh, he's back. So, question from Hammer, Blandy. Blandy, what do you think of the downward trend in passing yards? Does this make running backs more valuable, or just the elite wide receivers even more valuable than previous, with a smaller amount of air yards to go around?
What do I think of the downward trend in passing yards? I think it's fucking depressing. That's what I think. But no, it doesn't make running backs more valuable, because we're also seeing a greater increase in committees, teams moving away from workhorse backs. So I kind of think they offset each other, and still your elite wide receivers they maintain their elite value. We've seen with McCaffrey going to the 49ers prior to the injuries that they've just had there, where they didn't want to have McCaffrey as a workhorse back like he was in Carolina. They only wanted him playing 65-70% of the snaps, albeit he's going to get the high value touches. But that was another workhorse back that was going to have his work reduced. Taylor really is the only workhorse back we've got left. I suppose you could say Josh Jacobs as well. But Taylor's in an absolute terrible offense, and even him being a workhorse because his offense is so bad, he's not you're not getting the full value out of that role.
Here's a question for you, Blandy, and for you, Anth. Where would you draft, if you're doing a draft now for next season, where would you want to draft Jonathan Taylor?
Third, fourth round.
He was pretty much locked in for that in that first few picks, wasn't he, like this year? And obviously, if you've done that, you're probably not winning your league.
No, I think you're probably looking at the 1-2 turn, I would say. I think obviously you're going to get. There's going to be a lot of change. There's obviously going to be a lot of change in Indy. Yeah, you're going to get a new. There's going to be a new head coach coming. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they're not going to stay with the guy they've got there now. Matt Ryan is highly unlikely going to be the quarterback there next year. I'd be shocked if he was. I'd be shocked if he's still in the league. To be honest, I think he'll walk away and retire.
He looks washed, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So I think the situation around him will probably be better next year, and you'll get a discount on him. I don't think you'll get a bigger discount as what Anth wants. At the end of the day, he's still a good player. He's just in a bad situation, and
I was going to say it's about the situation, not the player, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with running back, there's only so much they can do because they're so dependent on the situation around them.
I won't be taking that risk next year. No chance.
I mean, it wouldn't be for me on the turn of the first, early second. I think I'd be looking at better players in that position, or well, not better players. Just I don't want to take the risk. What about then? If we're still on the Bengals, what about your man Hayden Hurst? What's his fitness? What's his injury?
Oh, he might be out, mightn't he?
He is out. He won't play. He's in your team, Hammer. I won't be shocked if he doesn't play in the regular season.
What was the injury? Was it a big hit?
Calf
Okay.
injury. And it was a calf injury, and it was almost an immediate rule out, which suggests it was more than a strain. It was pretty bad.
Serious. Yeah.
So you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks probably for
it's 6 to 8 weeks for a normal man. This is Hayden Hurst.
The gingerbeard Powell kicking, won't it?
Yeah.
The Viking strength will kick in.
I think I think the aim for the Bengals will be to get in health for the playoff run. Should they get there? Obviously, they're planning on getting there.
So with Mixon coming back, and we still fire up P. Ryan?
Probably not, though. I'll be benching him where I have him.
I was going to say you did tip him up, Blandy, as a Mixon's got a high chance of being injured. Get yourself P. Ryan, and he's absolutely excelled for the last 3 weeks, hasn't he? So if anyone followed that little bit of advice, then you've probably done very well in the last 3 weeks matchups.
Yeah. I mean the week 11, I don't think anyone would have started in there because that's the game that Mixon did get the concussion in.
Oh, was that he got the injury in? Okay, it was the week after that he was saying he's a good pickup because he's not guaranteed to be back fit. And P. Ryan can step in very well, good amount of targets in the passing game, exactly what you want from a fantasy running back, getting the highest percentage of the carries and getting lots of short passes and actually doing something with them. He's had some good work in there, hasn't he? He's had more top 12 finishes at the running back position this year than Joe Mixon.
Right, P. Ryan. Yeah. Yeah, he's had 3. Mixon's had 2.
Excellent.
Like Mixon. He's obviously had that one blow-up game where he went absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
He had been woefully inefficient previous to that game. You know, I think he'd had something like 17 or 18 touches within inside the 5 or 10 yard line, and had scored 1 touchdown. And then obviously all that touchdown regression that he was due absolutely hit in that one game where he scored 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Oh Jesus! Question from Titan CW. Pick one. Zenovian Knight. I've never heard of in my life. Cam Akers. I don't want to hear about him ever again in my life. Or James Cook.
Who you've heard about?
I'll be taking James Cook just because I've had bad. I don't know one of them, and the other one I hate.
You should listen to some podcasts, Anth, if you don't know much about right? I picked him up in our non-fantasy front office league in our NFL app. I picked him up a couple of weeks ago again when nobody was in for him. It wasn't even a competition, and he's had a couple of good weeks, and I think he's impressed Coach Salah quite a lot, hasn't he, Blandy? And I think he's come out saying even when they've got a fully fit backfield, this guy's going to be involved. So he's
their best running back.
I'm picking him out of 3.
Right, well, I refuse to put Cam Akers up. So I'm putting Zenovian Knight up and James Cook up. And it leaves the professionals to decide.
Have we got any professionals?
Well, more professional than me.
I'm not sure about that. I'm going for Knight because I think he's had back-to-back 100-yard games. And the coach is saying, we're not moving away from him. So he's on a nice upward curve. He's obviously relatively fit because he's only just come in for these couple of games. He's looked good. What's not to like?
Carter's back in full practice, though.
Yeah, he is, But I think I would just side with and agree with what Barry said, actually. I think I would probably play Bam Knight over it. Still, it was good what we saw from James Cook in the last game.
It was very interesting, wasn't it? The James Cook sort of explosion last week, and we've done lots of sections on the Bills in the last 4 to 6 weeks, haven't we, Anthony? Talked about all the players that we had in stash, and even Naeem Hines. We kind of got to where they're not a run-heavy team, but Singletary gets most of the work. Josh Allen, takes a lot of himself, and nobody else is getting looking. And then Cook comes in, and he was really bursting through the lines, and some good double-digit carries. He looked good, but you think, where's that come from? And he did. And will you see it again? That's the bigger question.
That's the question. And also, when they got to the 1 or 2 yard line, they put Singletary for the touchdown, for the rushing touchdown.
Which is a little bit ironic because that's what they used to do. They used to take Singletary off, didn't it, when he first came on because they thought he was too small. So
right, so
but
he's
just a trust thing of rookies.
Just to answer Titan's question before he falls asleep. We're saying Zenovian Knight was going for.
You're going for James Cook because that's the only one you can say.
Right, next question. Blue Crew, as a playoff contender, do you think it's crucial to roster a second QB?
No.
I wouldn't know. I don't normally get in the playoffs, so.
It's not one for you, Anth. You can dip out this one if you want, mate. Go get a kettle on.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's crucial to roster a second QB.
I don't think it's crucial. However, I'm always interested to see who's on the waiver wire, what your matchups of your QBs are through the playoffs. Because the last thing you want is either your QB get injured or have a tough matchup or be out of form. If you've got not a Premier QB, and then you have to go to free agency and you're picking, Wolford or whatever else, and some absolute tripe out there. Depends obviously on the depth of your league and what other players in your league are doing. So I would be very wary of who's around and give myself the options off my bench rather than say when I need to find an option. I've got to go and pick up some crap.
I think it depends who you've got on your bench. If you've got some dross on your bench, it's not going to benefit you whatsoever. It doesn't hurt just to pick a half decent one up, does it?
No, it also depends who your starting QB is as well.
Yeah, if you've got Josh Allen on Patrick Mahomes, then you absolutely no chance.
Burrow, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but if you've gone, you know, in your draft and took your QB late, and you've got someone who's a Goff or Trevor Lawrence or Derek Carr or whatever, you've got one of those one of the.
But if that's the case, you've probably always had two QBs anyway, and you've probably always interchange between the two of them depending on matchups.
Possibly, but yeah. I mean, let us know who you've got, Blue Crew. Who is your number one QB?
Yeah.
I mean, again, I got relatively lucky in a league where I managed to pick up Fields sort of midway through the season before he exploded, and now run with Fields and another. I mean, I could probably get rid of the other, but I've kind of kept him because, yeah.
Well, Fields is on a bye this week. So you had to have another one, didn't you?
Well, I had a great plan, Blandy, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I had the options this week were going to be Fields cover his bye, Trevor Lawrence, who's injured, and Deshaun Watson. So I've got 3 quarterbacks in a row. I've got no good choices. So maybe don't listen to me.
Josh Allen is his QB.
Yeah, I think if you've got Josh Allen, I'm less likely to go for a second QB. However, obviously he's got his injury doubts, hasn't he? He's carrying that elbow. But if people like Goff are on the waiver wire, it means probably the rest of the league aren't going too deep on the QBs. So I would say no. I would keep. I'd definitely for Burks, because Burks, when he comes back for injury, you know that you could get something nice out of him in the next couple of weeks when he's back fit. So I think I'd rather have Burks than a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree.
So they'd rather keep Burks than pick up Goff.
Yeah.
Live life on the edge.
Always
looking for upside.
Then when he gets injured.
Yeah. But injured, don't come back on the show, whatever you do. Don't tweet us, don't Instagram us.
He'll be fine. So yeah, we covered, obviously Mixon's back. Cheers, Blue Crew. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please sub, mate. Mixon's back. We're going to play him. P-Ryan, we're going to sit him. Let's go on to the wide receivers. Higgins playing.
Yeah, well, he's just popped up today with a hammy, so just have to keep an eye on that. That's not ideal.
Well, okay. I thought Boyd was going to be definitely sit. Do we just keep an eye on that then?
Yeah, just keep an eye on Boyd. He should have had a really big game last week. I mean, that's one of the worst drops you'll ever see. Well, he had last week in that game. He dropped a 10-yard touchdown. Wide open, no one around him. Went through his hands, smacked him in the face mask. It wasn't hard. It was just a long pass.
Yeah. Jamar Chase is an absolute stud, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Back one week back, a decent injury break, and he's just straight back.
The manufactured touches for him as well in crucial situations. It wasn't just a case of go run and we'll throw a look to you.
No, but
we're purposely going out of our way to get the ball in your hands.
He did have one where they slung it out to him, not too deep but wide, and he ran down the side, beat a tackle, and then hurdled somebody. So he wasn't easing his way back in.
No. He was full go. Like they said he was going to be full go, and he was full go.
He's good to watch.
Yeah, super.
Okay. Next game is the Vikings. Vikings at the Lions.
Yes.
This is a tasty old game, this, isn't it?
Yeah. Just scroll down there, Anth, to the map.
Hang on.
I was going to say, who do you think's favourite for this game?
I know who's favourite, man.
Who do you think's favourite, Anth?
I've already seen it. It's the.
But look at the line. Look what the line opened up.
That's it, +4.
Yeah.
+4. Line opened up +4 lines. It's been hammered.
You would love a bit of +4 on the lines, wouldn't you? Getting a field goal at home.
Yeah.
Come on.
You're only going back a couple of days, 3 or 4 days.
However, we have sat on this show in past.
Is that all your money been on it, then, Blandy?
Past weeks.
I might have got plus money.
But what have we been saying the last few weeks on this show about? Do we rate the Vikings? The Vikings seem to get a bit underrated quite a lot, given are they the best record in the NFL, 10-2? Is there anyone else?
No,
second best behind the Vikings, behind the Eagles.
Eagles.
So the second best record, and yet the underdogs against a 5-7 team.
Yeah,
They've been recently the Bills and won, and the underdogs against a 5-7 team. I think they do seem to be getting a little bit underrated, don't they, the Vikings?
Their point differential is
we did that, didn't we? We did the.
It's very narrow.
Second, I think they were 7-1 or something. We were saying it was the worst differential since 1970 for a team of 7-1.
Yeah,
but again, it doesn't matter. There's no. You don't have to paint a picture. You just have to look at the score and what you're seeing, and you're in the playoffs. So, I think it's probably a pick'em game, if I'm honest. But I think like I say, the point still remains the Vikings are a little bit underrated for the record that they've got.
Yeah. This will be a high score. This will be a high scoring game as well.
I was going to say that the handicap mark on it's quite high, in at 52 points over under.
Yeah.
But the the Lions looked good last week, didn't they? You watched any of the Lions last week?
Yeah. And the Jags defense is not the worst thing.
No, I think they put 40 points on them.
Yeah. They're good at home.
Yeah. In the dome.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the players, eh?
Getting on to fantasy then. Let's get on to fantasy and let's get on to these Lions. And your man, Blandy, who you were bigging up, Swift, he's back, baby.
He is. He certainly is.
He got the lion's share. No pun intended. He got the lion's share. His most touches since week 1, possibly.
Yes, I think it was his most touches since week 1.
But that touchdown he got, didn't you expect him to get dragged? It almost seemed like he was like, "Nah, I'm not getting dragged."
Well, they went hurry up, hey. He was like, They went hurry up with him on the field, and that's why they caught him. That's why
he just happened to get caught on the field. Is that what we're saying?
Well, yeah, but like even that wasn't straightforward. No, like Jamal in the middle there. There was no there. There was no hole there, so he had to bounce it outside. Then he had to make 3 guys miss, and he barely broke the plane with a guy tackling him. But no, it was very good to see. But the Vikings defense is middle of the pack against runners, so we're fine from that point of view. But what's exciting for Swift is that they've given up the most receptions and yards in the last 5 weeks, and a 5th overall in the season for giving up yards to receiving running backs of the Vikings defense. And obviously we know that's part of the game where Swift really excels in is that receiving game. So could have a really big game in the receiving game.
Slightly worried face on Barry's face there because he's up against Swift this weekend in the must win.
Oh, marvellous. I haven't done that research yet, but thanks for breaking that to me gently, Anth.
I'm sure Steve's got him, yeah. I think he has. Because he always mourns when Williams gets it.
And I think the flip side though is people who've got Williams have been absolutely riding that horse till the cows come home. Most touchdowns from running back this season, 14 touchdowns in 13 weeks.
Leads the league.
Yeah. Most touchdowns. However, is this the point in the playoffs where you might just get bitten in the backside? Because if they go to Swift, Williams gets turned off, and how can you drop a player who's the best running back for touchdowns 14 in 13 weeks? How can you drop him in the playoffs? But it might be coming. It might be coming, and he gets that 4 or 5 points.
It could be. I've got him in a few leagues where I've absolutely ridden him. I'll still be playing him in those situations as well.
But what I'm saying is, this is that these games, if Swift emerges as the number one, Williams it could go from hero to zero.
But until I see it definitively, then I'll still continue to play.
You might be out of the playoffs that week, though, Blandy, once you've seen it.
Well, I've got 2 weeks, haven't I? Because I'm already in the playoffs now. And then because the team's that good, we've already got a bye in week 15, so I've got 2 weeks to see it.
Hope we don't see it week 16.
Yeah. we'll see, won't we? But
We will.
But no, if you, and like you say, if you have him, then you're probably not sitting in either. But no,
that's the point.
DeAndre Swift.
How can you sit a player who's given you probably that wherever you've drafted him is going to be very low, and he's turned absolute trumps for you. And
no, Hammer, we're getting onto the wide receiver pickup now. So
he must be looking for a replacement for his 4 injured.
No.
For his 4 injured receivers.
What does he do? Doors off. Is he there? Oh, the fucking what?
So the Vikings defense is the only defense this year to give up 200 yards a game to wide receivers. And over the last 5 weeks, they've given up 209 yards a game to wide receivers. So this is Amon-Ra St. Brown and DJ Chark.
We mentioned him last week, didn't we? I think not.
We did, yeah.
You guys tipped him up, and he's caught trumps again. So good work for
yeah, that's right. Because I mentioned if he gets a touchdown, he can always use the shark gif.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it makes it all worthwhile.
So you can probably confidently play DJ Chark this week, I think. Against this Vikings defense, it's going to be a high scoring game. They obviously give up boatloads of yards to wide receivers, and we know it's not all going to go Amon-Ra.
No, it can't go one more play, can it? And I think also
Chark has the deepest average depth of target in the league as well. Okay. So although he's not seeing a high amount of targets, he is seeing the targets that he has seen are pretty valuable. They are downfield.
No, I think he's a good second option for the Lions and a good second option or whatever for your fantasy team.
Definitely.
Shark or Rashad White in the flex.
I would probably go DJ Chark. I think. Obviously the Buccaneers with the league's worst rushing game is against the 49ers, which has one of the league's best.
I was going to say, and they're going to Levi's, aren't they? So you're not going to be banking on much there.
The only thing with White is obviously the receiving role is very valuable in the Buccaneers backfield. Even with him and Fournette splitting it, they saw 15 targets between the two of them against the Saints, and you can actually do something through the air against for running backs against the 49ers defense.
Have you got just to slightly digress a little bit? Have you got an apology this week, Anth, after you slating the 49ers and going heavy on the Dolphins last week, and it was a 33-17 scoreline with a backup QB? Just any comment, really?
I always get a bit of grief for going a bit harsh on the 49ers, but we're right what we were saying last week, because it was only the second time they faced a decent team. So I think I was right to have my reservations.
Yeah, but you weren't right when you took the Dolphins, though, were you?
And we were just talking about the spread. I was surprised that the spread was the way it was in terms of the Dolphins getting the plus. That's all I said.
Covered it.
Yeah, they covered it.
With a backup quarterback, yeah.
With a quarterback, yeah.
Third string quarterback.
And just while we're talking about that, he's better than Trey Lance, isn't he? He showed more than Trey Lance has. Trey Lance played 4 games. Purdy showed more in 1.
I know, anyway. Is it the coaching and the scheming rather than the individual player, Blandy? What are we saying on Purdy and the 49ers and who they can roll out at quarterback?
Oh yeah, he was grand, but his touchdowns went to McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk. They play around the line of scrimmage. And he peppered Deebo Samuel, who plays around the line of scrimmage. So
he's not shot anything down the field, is he?
No, I mean this development's pretty shit for Kittle and Ayuk, who their targets are generally seen further down the field. Not ideal.
Slightly going off tangent here, but I know there's a few players. There'll be a few players out there who either got Kittle in the team, or like us. If you're looking for that playoff spot, you're looking at obviously your opposition's team and then hoping to have bad games. So if your opposition has got Kittle in, you're kind of thinking, get in there, because he's going to have to do loads of blocking, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's one of these
Well,
players.
last week, last week he stayed in the block on three passing plays. He only blocked on 3 of them. He ran a route on 30 of them.
Okay.
So why won't he score points with him in?
His targets generally seen further down the field, not close to the line of scrimmage.
I think
Right,
the point I was going to make.
He plays down the seam.
He's a very, very good player in lots of aspects of the game. However, it doesn't seem to translate to fantasy points. And I also think his character, his personality, and everything else is getting him drafted higher than the bare numbers suggest. I mean, if you look at his numbers of fantasy points through the season, he's on a 24-week there, 11, 7 and 8. Go back to start. You'll have drafted him quite high for a tight end, and he hasn't paid you back. And that's not because he's a bad player; it's just because of numerous factors. But I think again, for me, when I'm looking next year, great player, love to watch him, but I don't think you get value for money on drafting him.
He can give you boom weeks that a lot of other tight ends can't give you. He just doesn't give you the consistency that maybe you're looking for on a weekly basis. Maybe better in best ball.
Yes.
But the problem is where you're drafting them in redraft, you're stuck with playing them anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. If we want to try and slide back into Lions, Jameson Williams, Blandy. Any time.
I'm not sure I want to slide in any Lion, to be honest.
He's coming back from injury. It's going to take him a while. I think he played.
Who did you say?
Jameson Williams. I think he played 8 snaps last week. The plan was to play him as a gunner on special teams, but the Lions are that good that they didn't actually punt last week.
Is there any value in having him on your bench now?
Oh yeah, if he's still kicking about. Yeah, if he's still kicking about, and you can spare that roster spot.
Because I haven't seen a lot of him in college, but he's an absolute speedster, isn't he?
Yeah, he was superb.
And again, he comes across as he could have been the best receiver in the draft and all this sort of. And we've seen, some great rookie receivers in the last couple of years. So if this guy is anywhere near what people are building up to be, if he can get on the field in weeks 15, 16, 17, could he be a game changer? And has anyone got the balls to start him?
Yeah, I don't know whether he'll have the balls to start him if you get to the championship or not, but he's certainly got more upside than your regular wide receiver 3-4 that you're going to be stashing.
Bastard! I just looked on our league and someone's changed his name. What did I do without you? Kevin Hamilton's got him.
Yeah. Well, he just love an injured wide receiver, so he's probably got the full house there on his bench, has he?
Yeah. Yeah.
We said about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I ran into him last week.
The sun god.
What, in Morrison's or Tesco?
Yeah, he was picking up the loaf. No, I ran into him when I could do him winning 34.6.
He has some absolute bonkers weeks, doesn't he?
He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
What about Jared Goff? Because I think again, as a Rams fan, Blandy, you weren't unhappy to see him leave, but I think he's proved a little bit to a few people, hasn't he, over the course of the season?
He's played very the knock with Goff was always one, he is absolutely hopeless under pressure, but the Lions have got one of the best O lines in the league, and 2, he would always take the safer throw. He won't push the ball downfield. So like the play last year when the Rams played the Buccaneers, and we decided we were going to try and throw the game away, and then right at the very end, Stafford heaved that ball right down the field
to cut. Yeah.
I can't remember who the other wide receiver was. There was another wide receiver, might have been Van Jefferson, who was running the shallow route. He was open by about. There was no one anywhere near him, but he was only 10 yards down the field. Jared Goff would have thrown that ball to Van Jefferson, he wouldn't have thrown the ball to Cooper Kupp, who was 65 yards down the field. So that's always been the knock on Goff, is his play under pressure.
I can remember watching Goff when it looked like he was like a Baker Mayfield type, but couldn't actually move the ball at all. And it was always that hide the quarterback around the run game. Where it was go back to the time when he had Todd Gurley. He didn't look like a quarterback. However, now he's coming at lines. He's looked capable last year, and now he's looking probably better than middle of the pack as a quarterback. I think he's looking pretty good. Whether he's he's happy they found the scheme for him. Everything's matching up like the stars are aligning for him. I'm not sure, but he's certainly playing well.
Well, he's got people there that believe in him as well, because the general manager, and I think there's another guy there with the Lions. They were the guys that drafted him with the Rams as well. They were involved in drafting him when he was there. So he knows he's got guys there that trust him, kind of thing as well, But no, you keep him protected. He throws a lovely ball, it's just sometimes he can take the safer option rather than the option needed to go down the field,
In fantasy terms, if you're playing the game where you've gone late on your QB and you're streaming, he's a very good option in good matchups, especially let's say at home and against big teams. I think he's a good fantasy quarterback now.
Yeah, you can play him at home when he's got Amon-Ra and Swift around him.
Yeah.
Onto the Vikings. Obviously, JJ, what a absolute. Does he go first overall? He must do next year.
Quite possibly.
I prefer Jamar Chase, if I'm honest, but it's maybe a fag packet between a Rizzler packet between them.
Yeah,
a Rizzler packet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I never want to recommend playing Adam Thielen because he's Adam Thielen, but we know, as we saw last week, and we mentioned on the podcast last week about he plays slot receiver. Last week was Christian Kirk against the Lions defense. So in the last 5 weeks, they've given up the fourth most points to slot receivers in the league, and on the year they've actually given up the most. So it's a continuation of a trend that's ongoing. And Justin Jefferson, who's obviously playing, and Adam Thielen, they run equally 22 routes a game out of the slot for the Vikings. So Thielen is going to be playing in the slot. He's probably going to get some looks out of the slot. So if you are desperate and you want to play a really old guy, you can do worse than playing Thielen this week, probably.
Yeah. Pick your matchups with him, and this looks like a good one.
Play Adam Thielen this week, he said. You haven't played?
Yeah, if you have to. But if you're ever going to play him, you're playing in a good matchup, which this is.
Get Kirk off there. TJ.
TJ. Yeah, you play. Titans a shit show, and he's one of the more consistent ones. So
yeah,
even in the worst matchups, you play them anyway.
Yeah,
just because of the position.
You're not going to have a better option, really, are you?
No. So I'm interested to talk about Dalvin Cook, though. Again, you're playing him, but I'll maybe temper your expectations of what you think you might get out of him.
It was a grind last week, wasn't it? He had 25 yards on 20 carries.
That was the week before. That was a week before, wasn't it? Against the Patriots.
Similar this week, though, wasn't it?
No, it was a bit better this week, but he hasn't been great all year. But this Lions defense now is not getting the respect that it deserves in stopping running backs against them. They held Etienne in check last week, so they're now down in the last 5 weeks. They're now down to 66 yards a game that they're giving up to running backs on the ground, and only 2 receptions for 20 yards through the air. And in the last 5 weeks, they've only given up 1 touchdown to two running backs as well. So they've really, really come on in the last month or so, this Lions defence. So, you're going to play Cook because, Dalvin Cook, you probably don't have a better option, but you might just want to tempt your enthusiasm with what you're expected out of him, that's all. I think he might have to score a touchdown to have a usable fantasy game.
Okay. Any other games you'd like to just briefly touch on while I wait for any questions?
Not games as such. Just maybe players you might want to touch on. Obviously, the Ravens are going up against the Steelers, or vice versa. Steelers are going up against the Ravens. And Najee Harris, the Ravens have the probably the best run defense in the league, and they're really, really stingy. And obviously, we know Najee Harris is not very good at all. So he could be in for a really tough day. Jaylen Warren came back last week. He's getting healthier from that from the hamstring injury. So if he goes back into his old role of where he's kind of playing on third downs and in the passing game, Najee last week, last couple of weeks there, he's only seen 2 targets, 1 target a game. It might be a bit tough sledding for Najee this week.
So it's a good tough rivalry that as well as the Steelers and Ravens. They're not really physical games. Yeah,
and obviously we know that obviously Najee's carrying that injury as well, so he's nicked up as well. So
we're saying he's a sit. He's really a sit if you can afford to. You've got some options. If you've picked up Bam Knight or somebody really random that's come in and got to, you'd be looking to sit Harris, wouldn't you?
Quite possibly, yeah. I won't blame anybody like that, that's for sure.
And again, just a little play to throw in there. We've had a bit of a chat on the our WhatsApp group recently about the Titans sort of rookie tight end Okonkwo.
Chig Okonkwo. Who did the Titans play this week?
I mentioned him a couple of weeks ago. I watched the. What are you laughing at? You
taking the fucking piss. How do you spell it?
Okay.
Just.
O-N.
Chig Okonkwo. Fucking hell. How do you want me to spell it?
I've just told you.
Okay.
O-N.
Oh, there you go. Albert.
No, not him. Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll boot him.
O-N.
We don't want to play him.
O-N.
There.
Okay. Oh, Chigosium. We should have just said Chigosium, man.
Chig. So we had a little bit of discussion about him, didn't we, in the WhatsApp group? And you were going, "Who the hell's this fella?" I was thinking,
well, you hosted
LFL podcast. How can you possibly not know who he is? But this guy looks like a player. I think I watched I watched all of the Titans Chiefs games. And I think one of the first plays of the game, 3-4 weeks ago, he just looked explosive, just like a short pass to him, and he just burst through like pace of a wide receiver, physique of a running back from a tight end position, difficult to stop. But he doesn't get a lot of game time, does he, Blandy? But there's a lot of raw talent there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, but so last week first time he's played over 50% of the snaps. I don't know whether that was the plan going in or whether that was just because Burks got injured and they've got no wide receivers. But Burks isn't going to play this game either. So with a week to prepare for it, I think he's going to have probably an even bigger role this week. And the Jaguars are pretty bad when it comes to stopping tight ends. One of the bottom 5 team in the league. So it's certainly if you've been streaming tight ends, he's definitely a streamer that you can pick up and probably play this week.
I was going to say he's one for dynasty if he's kicking about.
Yeah,
get him on your bench. He's one for hopefully to come in next season and just step up a little bit more in terms of his playing time. But the guy's got a lot of talent, a lot of raw power.
Yes.
Are you writing it down there, Anth?
Yeah. No
doubt.
He's already been taken, has he?
I don't know.
I think he's still kicking about actually in redraft leagues. He's generally on benches.
Redrafts. maybe draft him later. Best ball things like next year. Blandy, this is a guy to pick in your late rounds, isn't he? If he goes that far.
Yeah. Well, I'm in a couple of best ball leagues that do monthly waivers, and I've added him in quite a few leagues over the last few weeks when when the waiver window's been open, and I've needed, some of those best ball leagues are 2 tight end leagues as well.
Yeah.
So you're definitely looking at someone you can play in that tight end 2 spot.
He's 60% owned in Dynasty. He's available in Dynasty leagues that I'm in with you two. Be there.
Right.
Right. Well, just let me pause the podcast. Well, so we've got a question coming in, have we? On the tight end area. Anth, do you want to read this one out for us?
Yeah, from Hammer again. Cheers, Hammer, for all the questions. I appreciate it, mate. Bellinger thoughts. Not much target competition. Strong end of season.
Who does he play for, Ant?
I thought he was the England midfielder.
Before you look it up, who does he play for, Ant?
No, obviously it's the Giants,
You've done a shot on him. When he had a bit of it, I think the week he got injured, 2 weeks before, we'd done a shot saying this guy's trending upwards. He's a good pickup.
Yeah, he was.
And then did he get an eye injury or something random like that?
Got poked in the eye.
Poked in the eye. I was going to say that. I thought
it was the game. It was a game that me and Nick went to in Jacksonville.
Oh right, you didn't shot hot.
I saw him go down on the field, and I turned to Nick and I said, "Wonder what he's done there." It's like dead innocuous, eh? He's on the field, he's rolling around in pain, and nobody knew why.
It must have been a really bad one.
Yeah, he fractured his eye socket.
Oof.
Yeah. But no, to go to Hammond's point, when it comes to streaming tight ends, you want someone that's playing, a full-time role,
which he is,
and running lots of routes, which he did last week. He's straight back into that tight end 1 role.
And I think
83% route participation last week, 18% target share. So and it's like Hammer says, there's not much target competition there. So he'll have a couple of big games between now and the end of the year. Might be hard to predict when they're going to be, but yeah.
And also the Giants are on a little bit of a downward curve at the moment, aren't they? I think we said last week, Barkley, if you leaned on him heavily because they don't have much other option on the offense, and he looks a little bit leggy. So somebody like Bellinger coming back might get a bit of action because they don't have a lot of places to throw the ball, do they?
No. I mean, just go back to Barkley. He actually did look pretty good last week. We got Evan Neal back, which I think was a big help at right tackle, and obviously Barkley's TD run came off off the right hand side of that line as well. So.
He's just been added to the injury report.
He has, I saw that. Yeah, I saw the neck injury with the injury report. So, you're kind of hoping it's nothing, but you find out more as the week goes on. But it's week 14. Everybody's injured, aren't they?
Yeah. Anyone you've picked up recently, Anth? Any sort of oddball players or anyone you've seen and thought, there's a good player?
No, I spent the rest of my fab on Cook.
You went in heavy there, didn't you?
Oh shit, wrong Cook. Wish it was Dalvin Cook. The main thing was because I'm against Hope, you see, and he's struggling with running backs.
Oh, it was a blocking move, was it?
And I had, I know he's not great, but I've got Robinson on bye. So I was just like, well, look, I just need to make sure I get him.
Get a body on the field.
There was no one else to get. And then I just need to get in the playoffs, you know what I mean? I have to win. So that's why I just thought, well, I might as well spend it and then
you can't take it with you, can you?
Can't take it with us, can
I?
A bit left field. OBJ, is he worth anyone stashing for the playoffs?
Won't play this year.
No, it wouldn't be for me. I think his turnaround from injury is too quick.
Yeah, he won't play this year.
Although he does generate a lot of hype, doesn't he? I think
one
of the shows last week there was some. Well, of course he does. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be worth millions of dollars and everyone chanting my name or whatever else. But I only get abuse when I go out. But he seems to fans seem to love him. He's all the mocked up photos of him going to Cowboys, and all of a sudden he's at basketball game in Florida. He's going to Miami, and he brings on a lot of hype, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Only 29. It seems like he's been around forever.
I mean, he's had some exceptional plays and seasons. I still don't like to say 29. When he does get back fit, even if it's next year, is he going to be the same guy? I think he's still a bit more of a bit part player, isn't he? Even if he's fit.
Oh yeah, that role that the Rams had him in last year was perfect for him. Wide receiver to complement, in the complement.
Out the slot, he's got some skill set, hasn't he? He's hard to pick up, and he can influence the game certainly. Yeah.
So let's have a look at our league, see who's still in the running.
Do we have to? It was a tough pill to swallow this last week. I think we said really at the start of the season, if you put 125 points up, that's a decent score. 130 points. I put 151, second highest score of the week, and I run into you a lot. Now, you must have had two teams because there's 2 years, did you? So an extra amount on the field there. 189.7. You're gonna laugh.
Yeah. So we had Hurts. Then we obviously had AJ.
Yeah. Pollard.
I mean, I don't know if you agree, Hammer, but I did very well drafting this team, didn't I? And managing it throughout. Let's see.
Even Will Lutz scored 10 points last week. That's how unlucky.
Yeah.
That's how unlucky you were.
In a tight matchup, the Cowboys' defense got 22 points. Give me some chance.
He's got the same amount of points as Steph Diggs.
Oh, bench is looking a bit shite, Blandy. What's happened there?
Well, we don't need. We're just picking up handcuffs, aren't we?
All right.
Well, we don't have Paris Campbell's gone now, isn't he? We don't have him. We had to pick up a kicker because Will Lutz is on bye, and you won't let me drop him. So
you can't drop Will. He's the greatest of all time.
So that hasn't done me any favours. When I was riding quite high at the top of the league, and now I'm absolutely in that pack of people who have got. Is this the last week before the playoffs? Who've got to try and.
Need a win.
So this is the current standings here.
Yeah, if I don't. Teams with 8 are in, aren't they? So the top 3 are in.
Yeah.
Well, who does they play? Nick Chubby. He plays Guyot, so he's going to beat Guyot. Kev Hammer.
He
plays Callum.
He's playing Callum. That's a tough one.
Yeah, so Chubby could nick that second spot, which is valuable, isn't it, in getting that playoff bye.
Yeah. So Callum's not. Callum needs to beat Hammer.
Callum's got a good team. Yeah, he's a fantasy stalwart, isn't he? He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, he beat me in another league. He beat me last week. Fucking hell! I needed to win. I needed a win to definitely get in the playoffs, and he beat me. It's a 14-team league. He was 12th, and he beat me last week. Fucking Michael Gallup 2 touchdowns.
Oof.
You can tell there was some auto draft. The team is a joke. Hurts, Chase, AJ, Framuth. Well, if you didn't fall asleep and enter the draft on time, which we live streamed, by the way.
Next year we'll see what happens, won't we? Come back next year. If you get invited back in, we'll see how you get on.
He woke up from his slumber. He had 4 text messages off me and 2 missed calls trying to get him on.
Well, I remember the disagreement we had at the time. I don't know whether it was disagreement or not, but the discussion we had at the time when we were drafting was, were we going to take Jalen Hurts or Amon-Ra St. Brown, where we did.
Yeah.
So that'd have worked out just as well for us as well.
But yeah, there's what is it? If you go to the bottom of that league, Anth, there's only a couple of teams actually out of it, isn't there? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
literally everybody else has got a chance, I think. It's good.
Yeah, just Hanley 75 and Guyot. To be fair, Guyot's done incredibly well to get 3 and 10 with the team he's got.
A little bit harsh.
He picked Knox up with his second pick.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a rash move, shall we say?
He's been on his bench since.
Bench warmer.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky week with the buys this week, isn't it? A bit of a buy apocalypse.
Especially if you're needing the win to get in as well.
Yeah, I think
Bipocalypse.
we had Bimageddon, didn't we? And was it week 8 Bimageddon? We had a lot of teams. It's the Bipocalypse now with the Colts, the Commanders, the Bears, the Falcons, the Packers, and the Saints all on bye.
Oh,
I think
that's bad.
I had a little look at again playing sort of Kevin Ryan, heavy Packers fans, and they've got a lot of Packers in their team. They seem to have moved them on quite quickly. They seem to have got. I was hoping at one point I wouldn't be able to get a team out, but they seem to have done all right to get a decent enough lot. I think probably favourites on the predicted score now somehow.
Callum's keeping tight hold of Cooper Cup there.
He's
Don't give
He's
up.
got a few injured players on his bench. Dobbins, Cup, Cotton, Sutton. He's out this week.
AJ bye. He doesn't deserve to go through. Come on, I'm gonna beat him. I know one guy's been texting me. AJ more Balti. He's flapping a bit. Think he might not get in. Up against Jalen Waddle. And
T.Y.'s got a good team, hasn't he? We've talked about him a few weeks, haven't we, T.Y.? He's got a good little team there.
Yeah.
Obviously, AJ had Lamar Jackson last week.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's fucked him.
A bit of a killer.
But what's this Waddle question mark?
Well, he got injured last week, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's a guaranteed start this week, is he?
Yeah, I think he said he's going to play. So.
Oh, is he going to play? Is he?
Yeah.
Well, that's not AJ.
It's got an extra day to get ready for it as well.
Yeah,
I think Mike Williams practiced in full today.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
see much of it this season.
Looks like he's going to be back, and that might be a bit of a dampener on Josh Palmer, who's played really well recently. So
yeah, we've talked about a lot of fantasy, haven't we?
Yeah,
the standings in the NFL are quite interesting. A lot of teams are in that playoff. You get to the point now where they put the graphics on, don't they? About who's the top 4 seeds, who's in the wild card mix. I think for the Lions, this is quite a big game for the Lions, isn't it? At 5 and 7, if they lose and go 5 and 8, they're going to have to probably win in to get in the playoffs, aren't they?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. I think
there's a lot riding on that game.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at the NFC standings, you've got the Giants in there, you've got Washington just outside, and you've got Philadelphia and Dallas in there. I mean, that's four teams in one division in the top 7.
Yeah, and Washington and Eagles, Washington and the Giants play each other again after Washington are on bye this week, so they play each other again in week 15. It'll be.
Yes, so Washington are ranked 8th and they're on 7 wins, and then Detroit are ranked 9th and they're on 5 wins. So there's a 2-game gap. And Green Bay also on 5 on bye this week. So Green Bay and Detroit are on a little bit of a last chance saloon, aren't they?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And the Giants feel like they're dropping. For as much as they've done well this season, I think they're sliding out.
Yeah, and they play the Eagles this week as well, don't they? So
yeah,
but I think for them.
On the other side, if you look on the AFC, the top 7 teams for me look like the best 7 teams: Buffalo, Kansas, Baltimore, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Miami, and New York Jets. And 8th is the New England Patriots, then the Chargers, and then the Raiders. I'm not sure.
I mean, the Patriots are absolutely rancid, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure you want to see many of them in the playoffs, do you?
I've just been looking at your matchup this week against poor Ryan. I don't think you've got much to worry about, have you?
Like I say, I was hoping we'd be able to get a team out. If I'm honest, I'll take a bye win.
Fucking Cam Akers, Hubbard, poor lad.
He's still got some players, though. Has he got
DJ Miller.
Yeah,
he needs JJ to have about a 40-point week.
Some players that go off, though, hasn't he? And Patrick Mahomes against the Broncos.
He's only 9-year-old, you know.
Oh, I'll happily take him out. No problem with that.
You've got Devontae Adams, Hopkins, Murray can do a job. Etienne, bang on. Dulcich, lovely hair. Diggs. Oh, you just took Diggs there away and you flex there, have you?
Yeah, he's a flex. I wasn't sure I was going to start him on, actually. Maybe go Garrett Wilson.
Up against the Raiders defense, Barry, against the Rams tonight.
Yeah, they'll probably get about 30 points.
Let's go for the bankers of the week, eh?
Yeah, I say I put a little bit more time into this week. I think I was caught on the hop last week.
You reckon?
Yeah, Blandy was rushing me because he wanted to go to bed.
I did.
I think we talked about. I like the Raiders -6.5 tonight against the Rams. I think they'll.
Oh, hang on.
Get your. Oh,
Mag Swag Man.
Great name.
MSM. Still trading in week 14. Should I trade Joe Mixon, D Hop, and Chua for CMC, Waddle, and Christian Watson? I already have Burrow at quarterback.
So if he's got Burrow at quarterback, that means that Tua has less value to him. Yeah. But it depends who you're trading to. If you're trading to a playoff rival, that could be a little bit of a tasty. We've talked about Mixon's downward trend, haven't we? We're not liking the direction he's going in, and his efficiency is quite poor. So, and yeah, Diop is obviously a very good player. He commands a high amount of targets. Where do we stand on CMC? And Christian Watson's a good one to talk about, isn't he? Because he seems to be getting some touchdowns.
Yeah, he's been playing unreal, isn't he?
He's on the Deebo Samuel touchdown juice that he was on last year, isn't he?
Just give him a touch anywhere, he'll run it in 30, 40 yards. Doesn't matter if he's throwing it or running it.
Doesn't have much chance at the playoffs, he says. I would do this trade in an absolute heartbeat. Yeah,
I was going to say I would certainly be looking for it.
CMC is going to get more usage now. The current situation with the 49ers. Jalen Waddle's a very good player and can have massive weeks. And as we've seen, Christian Watson. The good thing about Christian Watson as well is we know he has some rapport with Jordan Love. So if the Packers do go away from Aaron Rodgers, which they've suggested, if Rodgers has kind of suggested it himself, actually, that would be okay once the Packers are out of contention for the playoffs. If they did take a look at Jordan Love
to give him a run
with the injuries that he's got, and we know Watson already has some a bit of chemistry with him.
Interesting.
And he's certainly his stride the last few weeks. So I would do this in a heartbeat.
Mag Swag Man, we are going for that trade, and if you're in a cash league and you win, we take commission. So come back to us next week.
Kev Hamilton's in the chat as well saying yes.
Well, he'd trade his grand, wouldn't he, Kev Hamilton? He'd trade the family silver.
Yeah. Yes, I would do. And he's got Pollard as his RB too. So
a little backup.
Hammer did have a question. If you go back further up though, and Hammer did have a question. I think he's wanting Barry's. He's wanting to sleeper off Barry for the week.
Come on then, sleep off Baz.
I've given. If you should have been listening, a Concours. He was my sleeper, wasn't he?
There you go. Good man.
What more do you want? He's an absolute sleeper. And he sent Anth straight to bed.
I can't remember his name. Okay, on.
There you go. He's there. There he is. There.
Chico, see him.
Chico Concours. There you go.
Who do I think for a sleeper this week, lads? Let's have a look, Let's have a look.
You have a little think about it, and we'll have a little chat about what we think our bets are for this week. I think a couple of games we've covered. I like the Raiders to cover 6.5 against the Rams, because I think we said the Rams are in a bit of a mess. Did all right last week, but whatever's going at quarterback and everywhere else, the Raiders are 3 wins on the spin. I think that feels like a good spot for them. I like the Bengals 5.5 to cover against the Browns at home. They've just beat the Chiefs. They're on a roll. They've got everyone seems to be firing at the moment. I think the Bengals will win by more than a touchdown. And
I would agree with you there.
And I think the Seattle Seahawks are -3.5 at home to the Carolina Panthers. And are the Panthers rolling Darnold out this week?
They are, yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not saying Darnold's absolutely dreadful. I mean, he's not brilliant, but he's not dreadful. But he probably hasn't got a lot of rapport and he hasn't got a lot of minutes on his belt. So and I think it's a good spot for Seattle to kind of. They've had a few poor results in the last few weeks, so I think that feels like a Seattle comeback game.
I like the Jets plus 10 against the Bills.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
the Jets beat the Bills with Zach Wilson at quarterback a few weeks ago.
Now they've got Magic Mike.
Like, I find it hard to believe that anybody thinks that the Jets are a worse team with Mike White at quarterback than they are with Zach Wilson at quarterback. This number seems far
It's
too
too
big.
high.
Obviously, we know the Jets. We know the Jets have got a very good defense.
I was going to say they hang around, don't they? They're a bit of a spiky little team, aren't they?
This number seems far too high. So give me the Jets plus 10.
I've got a question for Anth as well before he moves on to his other answer. Looking on the lines, the Cowboys are minus 17. Will they cover?
That line will move. That line will move.
17.
That line will get bigger.
What's the record?
It's already 17.5 now.
What's the record?
Brandon Cooks is out and Nico Collins is out. So can you name a wide receiver for the Texans?
Probably not.
No.
I mean, I think I've seen a few. Was a few 20 when the Lions were terrible and probably the Texans themselves were terrible. That's what it was. There's been a few teams where there've been 20 points or 21 points, hasn't it? I think that's a hell of a lot to cover. But Dallas, what did Dallas put a 50 burger last week on the Colts?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So,
where are you going with this one, Anth? Take it away.
Hang on. We've got a question from.
Question.
No.
Anonymous question.
No. Anonymous question. Yeah. For fuck's sake! Good job. I picked Cook up in it.
I wouldn't personally. We've seen them previously when games have got out of hand pretty quickly. They've pulled him and they've put Daria Gumbawali in there. So yeah, I wouldn't play him this week.
They're on a backup quarterback as well, aren't they?
No. They've gone back to Davis Mills now.
Was that just a tactical decision, or was that an injury raid?
No, it was just go to the side. You've been shit. Go to the sideline. We're putting you back up in. Oh no, he's even shitter.
I was going to say, is it Kyle Allen they've got? They were rolled out.
Yeah, it was Kyle Allen. Yeah, but no, they put Davis Mills back in.
Oh, right, okay. So what we're going for? Cover 17, Anth, or get on now while it's 17 because it could be 19 when you wake up in the morning.
No, but I've got a question for you. So what's the biggest point spread in NFL history?
Oh, this will be going back like to the 70s or the 80s or something. When was it? Was it
the Lobland link up?
Somebody must have been plus 24 or minus 24, whichever way you look at it.
Sure.
24 is 3 touchdowns and a field goal, isn't it? I mean, it must be hard to cover much more than that.
What's the highest point spread in NFL history? I think it's the Broncos. Broncos versus Jags in 2013. Even though the Broncos were humiliated in the Super Bowl that year, a few months before they were considered the most offensive team in the NFL. On top of that, all Broncos 46 points per game. That's why the Sportsbook Society gave them a point spread of 28 points, which is the largest in history of football.
I went 24. I was close.
28 points.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns. Wow.
See, they got done by the backdoor cover, didn't they?
I was saying, did they cover it or not?
No, they went up 14 and it finished 35-19.
Yeah, I'd be looking to take any. I think I'd take the Steamers at plus 28.
Yeah. Because like teams just pull the starters, don't they?
Yeah.
So
They
I
get
don't think
nothing
he's.
extra for covering the spread.
I don't think he's a sleeper. But how come we didn't talk about Donovan Peoples-Jones when we talked about the Browns?
Because we said Watson was thrown to his feet mainly, and he can't catch it with his feet.
His points he put up last week were on special teams, weren't they?
Were they?
Yeah, he scored the punt return touchdown.
Ah, right.
Right.
Okay.
So, like from in general fantasy scoring, he only scored 7.5 points last week.
Yeah, I think, like I say, it's more about the Watson.
Yeah.
Sleep tight. More about the
Cheers,
Watson.
Hammer. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Hammer.
Appreciate it.
The Watson sort of
It's a nice
impact.
new haircut.
Getting
Yeah.
to.
And
Getting
also,
the
like,
rust
the Bengals do have a pretty decent secondary as well.
So for the bets of the week, I'm going for Seattle to cover 3.5, the Bengals to cover 5.5, and if you want to be really adventurous, stick the Raiders in -6.5 for a treble. If you want to go for the double, I'd go for the Seahawks and the Bengals.
For myself, I'm going to take the points with the Jets +10 against the Bills, and I'm going to go under on the Chiefs Broncos game. The Broncos still got a decent defense, and they still have they have a historically bad offense, don't they? We're now in the the regions of discussing them as historically bad.
The defense was absolutely flogged at the Broncos, man. They get no time drinking Gatorade on that sideline, do they?
No. They're like, I think that is it 1.1 or 1.2 touchdowns a game they're averaging on offense.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Russell Wilson still has more bathrooms in his house than he does touchdowns on the season.
They've kept nearly every team to like under 18 or 19 points, and they're just not winning, which is it's criminal.
Literally every game that the Broncos are in pretty much goes under by 10 points. So,
but
it
is the Chiefs. That's the only worry, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're going up against good defense again, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mahomes is very good, Kelsey's very good, and then there's not an awful lot after that, is there? You saw with the Bengals last week. You can game plan for them, can't you?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're good enough. They're good enough in situations to overcome it, but you can game plan for them. There's no real threat there at wide receiver, is there? Last week, the Bengals were happy to let them, try and beat them with Marcus Valdez-Scantling. He had a horrific drop.
He had some bad drops, didn't he?
Yeah.
Even for the Broncos, Court Sutton's out. So I mean, who are they going to be throwing it to? Ruin Dulcich.
Yeah, well, it's Judy and Dulcich. That's it, isn't it?
Dulcich
and Judy.
So yeah, the Broncos could quite easily get 9 points, under 9 points, something around there.
Yeah. Couple of field goals.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions from anyone? Fire them in quick.
What have you got a bet for us this week, Anth? I know you put the Dolphins up last week, didn't you?
No. I've got no anytime betters either. I've been
he's skint,
mate. Yeah. But no, I can't give any advice out at the minute.
He's
Trey. Yes. Oh, I thought you were doing Trey.
Evening, Trey. We'll see you next week. Thanks for coming.
We answered a couple of questions from Trey last week, or was it the week before?
If he's a regular,
He's a regular, Trey, yeah.
Oh, good lad, Trey.
Any questions, Trey?
No.
Quick. Any lineups issues you've got?
He must be in, I'm going to say Trey's in the playoff hunt because he's back firing the questions in. Hopefully, here we go.
We'll give him 30 seconds.
He's in. He's in.
No, he's in.
Oh, right.
I'll give you 30 seconds to get on the screen.
There we go. Full PPR, start 3. Juju, Zeke, Singletary, Rashad White, or Judy?
Yeah, I think you can definitely start Zeke against
I was going to say the first one, Zeke, isn't it? He's in.
Yeah. Definitely start Zeke against Texans.
Juju Blandy, second.
No, well, I kind of admitted defeat that I might have been wrong about Juju, and ever since I did that, he's been fright on me. So
Did he not have a bit of a comeback last week? What was his numbers like last week, Anth?
Hang on, mate. Pull them up now.
no, he had a comeback. He had a comeback in the snap section, but that was about it.
7 points last couple of weeks, 6.8.
Yeah, and he's gone up against, like we've discussed, gone up against a pretty decent defense here in the Broncos. For all that the offense is garbage.
Yeah, but again, he's going to have
defense. So
if they have everybody covered, he's a little bit of an easier, shorter pass, isn't he? You know, Mahomes won't be shy to fire into him if he's long, his downfield options. So
well, he's not down the field though, is he?
No, I'm saying if his down the field options are covered, he'll fire into a tight window in a shorter area. So I think that might, clutch in a bit, but.
Yeah,
Singletary and James Cook we don't know. We don't know what's going after last week.
No, but I play Rashad White over Singletary, and I think I would play. I think I played Juju over Judy. So Zeke, Judy, Rashad White.
He says I also have Boyd, but it feels bad to go boom or bust from last week of regular season.
And if he is second, you want to lock that second up, don't you, for your bye week? So I would go Zeke, Juju, and maybe White.
Blandy?
Yeah, they're the three. They're the three that I said.
I think it's a Judy. Sorry.
No.
Juju. Sorry.
Yeah,
Zeke, Juju, and White. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think. But just keep an eye on the T Higgins injury though, with an eye to Tyler Boyd.
With Boyd,
if Higgins doesn't play, then Boyd becomes more playable. But Higgins didn't miss practice; he was just limited. So we need to find out more information about what it was.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trey. Good luck in the playoffs, and like I said before, commissions are payable. Bank transfer or PayPal accepted.
Thanks, Lord Trey. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but Higgins didn't practice today, so just keep an eye. What Blandy's saying there is keep an eye on that.
No, he did practice.
Did
he was
just limited. Just limited.
He did practice.
Right,
he was just limited. Yeah,
but it could worsen. And if it worsens, then you're going to fire Boyd up, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hamstrings can be a bit dodgy, and I don't think I don't believe he was listed with it yesterday. So
good luck.
We'll just keep an eye on it.
Good luck to you all too. I'll Venmo you once they won't know what that is, Trey. They're too old to know what Venmo is. They won't know what that Venmo is, mate.
I don't know what PayPal is, to be honest. I've heard the kids say it.
Just send them some Ethereum over. They'll be happy with that.
Check or postal order.
Send them an NFT.
Yeah, send them by fax.
Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
See you next week.
That's what. Yeah, we're done. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Hopefully, everyone's bagged that final playoff position, including myself and Barry. Thanks again. Peace out. Have a nice day.